Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Jonathan Coates, and in today's free copywriting training, I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about Gary Halbert, number one, but also we're going to be talking about David Ogilvy. So this is an ad from 1958 to 1962, and I'm going to go over some annotations here because on this website they give you annotations on basically the psychology behind the copy, and it mainly starts right here, but there's so much to dissect. And I'm going to read the annotations. I also want to share with you a similar type of deal. This is called Rolls Royce Letter, one that Gary Halbert wrote himself. But this is a newsletter that he wrote about Rolls Royces. He said, "Herein lies the answer to the mysterious Rolls Royce letter." So I want to read this too, and then just as an additional bonus, I want to leave this right here in the description for your reference. I'm not going to go over this today, but it's basically the same kind of deal with swipe.co. They have a collection of swipe files, endless supply, if you will. And anything that these folks don't have, I will come over here and cross check and see what they got. There's also another one called swipefiles.com, and I'll have that in the description. But let's get started right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just read from the very top. Announcing the worst kept secret in the history of Rolls-Royce and Bentley cars. A new 8-cylinder aluminum engine. The two Rolls-Royce ads below have the same copy, but the first one ran in the New Yorker in 1959 as a 2-page spread, and the second ran in 1960 in the Chicago Daily Tribune as a 1-page ad. Because of the layout, a more compact photo was used for the newspaper ad versus the New Yorker, which Olgivy often used full-page photos in. This was Ogilvy's only ad for Rolls-Royce that focused specifically on the 8-cylinder engine. The majority of his ads for them focused on the lesser-known surprise features and amenities that no other car possessed, like his famous "At 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise in this new Rolls-Royce comes from an electric clock." That's a really good line. "At 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise in this new Rolls-Royce comes from the electric clock" ad. This ad also focused on how impressively silent the car was. In addition, the ad stressed the safety of the car, mentioning how you can apply the brakes with full force at 110 miles per hour, and how the engineers have a 123-item checklist. That's then turned over to a chief test driver. Safety was likely emphasized to persuade those who use it as a family car. So the worst kept secret in the history of Rolls-Royce and Bentley cars, a new 8-cylinder aluminum engine. Remarkable new 6,230cc power unit is guaranteed for 3 years, 12 times longer than most American cars. Accelerates brilliantly even at high speeds, but is so well mannered that it never joins in the conversation. That is just amazing copy. He is really good. The compact new Rolls-Royce 8-cylinder engine is even more powerful than the previous 6-cylinder engine, but because it's made of aluminum, it weighs less. Writes John Bolster in Autosport, the 8 is appreciably faster than the 6, has much greater acceleration in the upper ranges, and is so well mannered that it never joins in a conversation. It is normal to travel with the windows closed, for one is less conscious of the grinding and clattering of the other cars that one overtakes. No guinea pigs. The Rolls-Royce engineers and designers do not use the public as guinea pigs. They test every single engine for 7 hours at full throttle. Your finished Rolls-Royce spends a week in the final test shop being fine-tuned. It is also test-driven over winding English roads by an engineer whose checklist contains 123 separate items, and then turned over to the chief test driver for final testing. When you buy a Rolls-Royce or Bentley, the running in has already been done by the people at Rolls-Royce. You can drive it at top speed on your first day. A safe car. You have an extraordinary feeling of safety when driving a Rolls-Royce or Bentley. You can apply the brakes with full force even at 110 miles per hour and the car pulls up squarely. There is no tendency to fade or pull to one side. The car has 3 independent brake systems, 2 hydraulic and 1 mechanical, as well as a mechanical handbrake. If it had no other great qualities, reports the motoring correspondent of the Observer, the brakes of the Rolls-Royce would set it apart from cars of comparable size and performance built in any other country today. The power-assisted steering is responsive and exact. You can feel the road. You can adjust the shock absorbers electrically from the driver's seat to suit the road surface and the load you're carrying. So what is a Bentley? Rolls-Royce has been manufacturing the Bentley since 1931. Today, the Rolls-Royce and Bentley models illustrated in this advertisement are identical motor cars except for their radiator shells. The latest Bentley model, writes the editor of Autocar, offers a degree of safety, comfort, and performance that is beyond the experience and perhaps even the imagination of the majority of the world's motorists. The Rolls-Royce and Bentley models illustrated on this page are designed to be driven by their owners, no chauffeur required. They are 18 inches shorter than the largest American cars and notably easy to park. Largest Rolls-Royce ever made, There are now 9 other models of Rolls-Royce and Bentley, including convertibles and the new 7-passenger Rolls-Royce Phantom 5, the largest motor car ever made by Rolls-Royce, just under 20 feet. The lavishness of space in the Phantom V is likely to attract motorists who have grown weary of bending double to squeeze into a long, what's going on right here? To the low-slung automobiles. It will also appeal to heads of state for ceremonial use, to corporations, and to large families. So why buy a Rolls-Royce? The price of a new Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 2 is $14,895. Before you decide that this is more than you can afford to invest, consider the following arithmetic. Number one, annual depreciation is low, and you keep your Rolls-Royce or Bentley for years if you choose. 2, a Rolls-Royce never becomes out of style. You're assured of a continuity of styling that protects your investment. 3, every Rolls-Royce and Bentley engine and chassis is guaranteed for 3 years, 12 times as long as most American cars. 4, you can pay by installments over 1, 2, or 3 years. One bank allows 6 years. If you would like more information, write Rolls-Royce, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York 20. If you'd like to try driving a Rolls-Royce or Bentley, get in touch with one of the dealers listed on page 106. And then they also have what's under the bonnet of the Rolls-Royce. I'll leave this in the description for your reference, but it basically just takes you to another part of the ad here. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to not go over this right here. So be sure to refer to this in the description. As you can see, there's additional copy, and there's a lot to learn from this right here. So going down to the bottom, announcing the worst kept secret in the history of Rolls-Royce and Bentley cars, a new 8-cylinder aluminum. So the annotation right here is announcing in caps is an attention grabber, and the idea of secrets can reel people in out of curiosity. New appeals to our desire to have the latest, greatest, and underlined for emphasis. Remarkable new 6,230cc power unit is guaranteed for 3 years, 12 times longer than most American cars. Accelerates brilliantly, even at high speeds, but is so well mannered that it never joins in the conversation. So right here, note how Olgivy doesn't just state the guarantee, but frames it as a competitive advantage, 12 times longer versus most American cars. Powerful. Also, instead of calling the car quiet, he personifies it, calling it well-mannered. And the compact new Rolls-Royce 8-cylinder engine is even more powerful than a previous 6-cylinder engine, but because it's made of modern new aluminum alloy, it weighs less. So this gives people an idea and a feeling for, its accessibility, its ability to move around, its mobility. So he's further painting a picture right here in the reader's mind. Writes John Bolster in Autosport, the 8 is appreciably faster than the 6, has much greater acceleration in the upper ranges, and is so well mannered that it never joins in conversation. It is normal to travel with the windows closed, for one is less conscious of the grinding and clattering of other cars. So this is a prime example of using excerpts from reviews to assemble persuasive copy. This is done multiple times in the ad. And then we pretty much went over the majority of this already, so I'm just going to go ahead and just read the annotations. So right here, we has a picture in the caption that says, the new Rolls-Royce engine is made of aluminum alloy with a capacity of 6,230cc and an 8:1 compression ratio. It has wet sleeve cylinders and twin carburetors. The biggest difference from this ad and the one above that is this center photo of the motor, which is accommodated well by the layout. And then over here, when he talks about why buy a Rolls-Royce, and as you can remember, we already read this, in the annotation it says, a solid close focused on price justification. So he really goes down and makes the arithmetic make sense. So because at that time, $14,000 was quite a bit of money to spend. But if you can illustrate and explain to them how they're actually saving more money over the long term than paying, and how they won't, and basically justifying the price in a way where they feel like they're getting a deal. In usual Olgivy fashion, the copy is fact-based and in list form. And then I'll also have this one in the description as well. Should every corporation buy its president a Rolls-Royce ad by Dave? And I just really would like for you to come to this website just so you can read these annotations and learn more. I'll try to make more videos on these additional ads. I really just want to show you that first one, as well as go to Gary Halbert real quick. So, dear friend and subscriber, herein lies the answer to the mysterious Rolls-Royce letter. In a moment, I'm going to tell you how that letter performed, or perhaps didn't perform. But first, I want to say I have never posted a letter for the review of my readers before that was so universally trash as this one. Most of you decided this letter sucked. One person said, I think it was a loser because of the continued self-reference, and he said it failed because of the number of I in the letter. No one cares about I. They care about themselves, so people don't see themselves in the car. They see me selling it. Another shit weasel wrote, I think at best it was mediocre, probably a loser. It sounded desperate to me. One person who should be taken out and shot. Gary Halbert is a legend. Because you wrote the letter, it was probably a winner. I was just still tripping about that. Because you wrote the letter, it was probably a winner, but it reads like a loser. So my guess is loser. Why? Let me tell you, while I'm sure the picture of the Rolls Royce is a decent grabber, the beginning of the letter does absolutely nothing to grab my attention. You don't tell me how you got my name and exactly why you're writing me. You attempt to position yourselves as a non-salesman, yet it's abundantly clear you're trying to sell me a Rolls Royce. You're not in it for the money line reeks of horse crap. It totally makes you sound like a sleazy used car salesman. On a scale of 1 to 10, your believability factor is about a 2. Also, if I was a man that had the financial means to purchase a Rolls Royce, the secret connection would not appeal to me. I'd be thinking, so what? What's the big deal? And you didn't create a real sense of intrigue or mystery that would even cause me to pick up the phone. I think like I think a letter like this would be better if another rich dude just like me wrote me to tell me about this remarkable secret connection for Rolls Royces. There's a certain kinship between rich folks. You should know all about that. Even if this letter was indeed a loser, you're still the greatest of all time and always will be. So he said, what? Another reader writes, my take on this particular ad is that it was not successful. The use of the word cheaply at the beginning was somewhat of a turnoff in my mind, and although the use of the phrases used car dealer was in there to distinguish the seller from typical used car dealers, the picture or vision of that type of salesman immediately came to mind. The final reason I would guess this was not successful, even a used Rolls will cost a pretty penny, and my belief is that the driver of this class of car would not necessarily need the financing options. The emphasis would be a possible turnoff to a potential buyer for whom financing is not a problem. There are plenty of people driving more car than they should be, but I haven't met too many Rolls owners who fall into this category. Women were especially offended by the sales letter. Here's what Ellen from somewhere wrote. I don't think this letter did well. It has a sleaziness about it and seems somehow not legit. The secret phone business is off-putting. That's my pathetic guess. Here's a guy named Randy who is not a woman, but maybe he should be. He said, the letter did not grab me at all. When you stated you wanted to sell me, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know who this person is and why I should trust him. To me, there was no excitement. Now, there's a guy who had a different point of view. Gary, I think the letter was a winner. It had a picture of a Rolls Royce. It talked about a low-cost solution into the country. It showed an easy way to finance over 4 to 5 years. It shows that the dealer is not greedy. It describes how a Rolls is different. It describes what it's like owning a Rolls Royce. It offers a persuasive price justification when it says it might be cheaper to own a Rolls than the car currently owned. It has a non-pushy but solid call to action. It uses scarcity by saying that these bargains won't last long. The first PS talks about the value and longevity of a Rolls. It offers curiosity as to why this dealer can sell these cars so cheap. My guess is that the curiosity alone in being able to sell a Rolls cheap would definitely generate some calls. If this letter was a loser, please let me know why. All right, so who was right? That last poor lonely voice in the wilderness that said I did a good job, or all the rest of you hurtful shit weasels who took so much glee in attacking poor me so viciously? Well, I gotta tell you, we never made a second mailing of that letter because that letter sold out every Rolls Royce he had in stock in 3 days, and every Rolls Royce he could back order. Now, I will tell you a little secret. There was something I was hiding about those cars that made them a special bargain. They all had right-hand drives. You would think that having a car with a right-hand drive would cause you a lot of problems when driving around the good old United States of America. Well, let me tell you that's not true. I drove one and it took me 2 minutes to adjust, and none of the other buyers had any problems with the right-hand drive either. And it sure gave a good rationale for selling them cheap. Now you listen up. The story does not end here. 2 of my friends and clients in the real estate business were perceptive enough to see the genius of what I have created. So they have sprung into action and recreated this Rolls Royce buying opportunity. And not only can they get Rolls cheaply, they can get Bentleys and other exotics. In fact, their British contact secured the Rolls that belonged to the Queen of England. How about those apples? Anyway, if you would sincerely like to drive what is quite possibly the best car ever manufactured, I want you to speak with a very nice lady whose name is Diane Craig. You can email her at dianecraig@aol.com. Email her and tell her you would like to talk about a Rolls Royce. I suggest you do not share with her the abject lunacy that led you to believe that Gary Halbert could write a pathetic loser. P.S. I'm going to be publishing my next newsletter soon, and it's all about a website I created that's absolutely going apeshit. All you web guys out there are about to learn who really is the website king. By the way, I just found out I owe almost $500,000 in taxes to the IRS. If you got any work for me, now is the time to hire me and get it done good and fast. I'm currently at my best, which means I am better than all the rest. If you want to hire me, read Modesty Personified and then shoot me an email. So let me show you the Rolls Royce ad he's talking about. I'll leave it in the description for your reference, and then we can go ahead and bring this video to a close. So if you type in Gary Halbert Rolls Royce ad, it's a pretty legendary ad. You can find it right here. So Rolls Royce letter, And I'll have this in the description for your reference. I recommend reading this, and not only that, but also I recommend reading this. It's very short, so make sure you check preceded the video that I just showed you. I mean, it's what preceded that newsletter that I just showed you. So I have both of them in the description. But this is a pretty legendary letter, and I encourage you to go through it with the same lens that we had with this right here, these annotations, basically trying to dissect the psychology behind it. And the more you go through his website, the Gary Halbert letter, you get a lot more insight on how to basically write really good copy. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out my playlist on copywriting tutorials. I have quite a bit of videos, almost I think about 50 now on copywriting tutorials. And it's extremely valuable. It's basically selling on paper. It's a great way to up your game, especially if you're constantly consuming this information and practicing every day and actually doing the work. You'll be a high earning, you'll be a world-class copywriter in no time. All right. So if you like content like this, then I definitely recommend that you subscribe to the channel. I talk about everything when it comes to generating traffic, generating sales, SEO, copywriting, email marketing, affiliate marketing, artificial intelligence, automation, you name it. And right below in the description, I actually have a copywriting checklist that you can use to help accompany you as you're going about your copywriting. So when you're writing any copy, you can basically just go down this checklist and make sure you're covering all bases. All right. It's completely free. All you gotta do is you put your name and your email address in, and it'll get sent right to your inbox. All right. And then make sure you take a look at the tools and the resources below. I have everything that I included in this video, and it'll also be in the pinned comment by the Affiliate Marketing Samurai. And with that said, I will see you in the next video. See you then.